surprised we're not talking about Teslas today for a change.
Oh, yeah. We don't do that.
Oh,
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, Elon just said 621 miles of range on the semi.
The semi?
Yeah, you gonna
Oh.
get one of those?
Well, that
They're
takes a
pretty
lot
cool.
of batteries.
A lot of batteries. Daimler's like, no way, Chief.
Yeah.
Might
And
take
they
a while
said-
to charge at home. Did they say anything about home charging on the semi?
Jesus,
No.
I don't think that would work on 120 volts.
Take like 6 months.
Yeah, you could run 240.
You could maybe top off a couple miles with it.
Yeah.
I know of at least one person that bought one that is not a
There's a
commercial
handful
truck
of people that are bought on. Yeah.
Well, if they line the top of the back of the truck with solar panels, how many kWs can you get off?
Not enough.
So anyway, we're supposed to talk about how some gear sounds really clinical in nature, you know, the sound of instruments or vocals and that. And in real life, it's not like that at all. So what's going on with that? You know, what's going on with these neutral systems that rip your head off sometimes with certain recordings? You
So
know?
like nails on a chalkboard type of deal thing.
Yeah.
Why it's so annoying?
Yeah.
Like you seem to just get the right frequency. It's just you get everything tuned just right, and it's just awful.
Actually, are there any
Irritating,
tracks that
piercing.
recorded that?
What, nails on a truck?
Yeah, I wonder what the hell that would sound like. I don't think I've ever heard that on a
I'm
recording.
sure someone's done it.
Yeah, because that would really pin. I mean, that.
Yeah.
I think everyone's got that in their head.
Right.
You hear it once, you never forget it.
Yeah.
All right.
So play that back?
That'd be a good
It's a test
reference.
track?
That'd be a good reference test track.
Good
yeah.
reference.
Yeah.
Odd thing is though, I've seen a few people that have noises that seem to irritate them just as much as something like that, but they don't irritate me.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
That is
So
true.
It seems like there's some variance in what people find just
Sensitivities.
piercing, screeching.
Yeah. I think that goes for all of our senses.
Well, it's also what you're used to, too. If you listen to stuff that's like
Yeah.
all the time, maybe
Yeah.
you get used to it. And
Well, it's kind of like we just did ginger shots a couple minutes ago, right? Raw ginger that I juiced. You know.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and that once you have that every day, it's not a big
right.
deal.
Yeah, it takes a few times, and you're like,
We're in Buffalo, so hot sauce is like that too.
Yeah.
You know, we can tolerate a hell of a lot of freaking hot sauce on our chicken wings, and it's like whatever. You go as hot as you want. It's like, yeah, it's hot, but you know,
But a lot of people here can't, though.
no.
Still.
yeah,
So,
right.
So what's the difference between a recording and how you get like an annoying type sound, clinical sound, in real life? Why you don't seem to get that so much?
The amplification, the tuning of the analog gain stages,
well, and just how it was recorded.
and the recording itself. But here's what goes down, right? The recording has that in it. It's inherent, right? For whatever reason. Say someone was screaming into a microphone. You're 1 inch away from the microphone, as I was told. That's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
Right? Like if I went like this.
Yeah, right.
And right, so now all of a sudden you've got that's in your face. The mic's picking that up. It's in the mic's face. The mic's going to translate that to the recording. That's what it does, you know, versus us being 18 inches away. So
Well-
now you throw that. Now you play that back. You throw, assuming it's not clipping and the recording was done, so that you're below whatever, so that you're not it's not distorted. Now you put that into a system, play it back. The system has the ability to either play that back naturally, which would be highly unlikely.
Mhm.
It also can mute it or soften it so whatever's annoying about it isn't so annoying, or it can also brighten the shit out of it so it goes from what it was to worse in terms of annoyance level, you know, and all shades of gray in between.
Well, I guess some people, they choose they prefer a more natural kind of toned down kind of sound. So they pick one component and then they make sure that it sounds like that. So it turns everything into that after,
Yeah.
or the headphone. So
True.
the softer sounding headphone that
Yeah.
everything you listen to is kind of tone controlled for your preference.
Seems to be, yeah.
Yeah.
You choose your flavor,
Yeah.
so to speak, you know.
It seems to be such a trivial shift required to make that happen, though. I think that's the biggest issue. It's not like it's a radical departure from real life that's causing this. It's just a real trivial, minor difference. And sometimes people are just really sensitive to it.
Yeah, it's in the subtleties, really,
Right.
of the system, you know. I mean, probably more so the transducers and the drivers than anything, you know. If that's going one way or the other in terms of how it produces full range music from, the lowest frequencies on up. If it's lacking lows, for example, or rolls quickly below 50 hertz or whatever, then it might sound a little more uppity. But then again, it depends on what you're listening to, right? If someone's screaming in a mic, there's no bass there anyway.
Well,
So it doesn't matter how bassy your headphone is. It's someone screaming in a mic, you know? So I always say, let's pretend that you're standing on the microphone.
yeah, well, it depends.
Which means you're there.
Depends on the microphone placement, though.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So,
Well, let's say everything's perfect. You have a perfect microphone, everything's set up amazing, you have no room issues, etc. So the difference between how it's being recorded and how you listen to it in real life is actually more considerable than I think a lot of people notice. Because if you're recording a piano or a guitar or something like that, you're typically not standing right next to it with your head right next to the thing producing the audio.
Yeah.
And when you're recording it, a lot of times it's very, very close. So there's a difference right there. There's all kinds of reasons why that happens.
That's where like sibilance, I think, begins, is the choice of the microphone, what kind of screens they have in front of it, how
Yeah,
close the singer
placement.
gets to it, and to the artist and to the mastering studio and stuff and the engineers, they might think it's fine at their level. It wasn't designed for it was designed for playing in a car,
Well, yeah.
not on a driver that's an inch from your eardrum,
Well, I guess it comes down to that's why a lot of people like one microphone recordings,
Yeah.
because then like it's like you're in that space,
Yeah.
instead of like everything's closely mic'd and
Yeah,
everything,
no one person's
Yeah,
right
right.
up on the mic.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of just set so that it picks up everybody.
or two
Yeah.
mics. It
Yeah.
could be two mics.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
too.
got to be a little bit closer to
I'll
how
go
it would
with
sound
that.
if you were there, if you were where the microphone is.
Yeah.
But that's not always to say that that's better.
No, it just sounds more natural usually.
Right.
Yeah, because no one can. But it boils down to the engineering of it. Who's setting levels and stuff. But that's the thing. I mean, that's with most recordings, you don't see how it was done. You don't see the studio setting,
No.
which is something we're keying in on now. Our new thing, our Abyss recording side. We're doing recordings, and we're bringing new artists in here. Like Sam Gaddis came in here, and she laid down two really nice tracks. It took a few days, but because we're all fairly new at this, including herself in terms of doing a recording. But the thing is that you learn about the various microphones that we might have had half a dozen different mics here right now.
Mhm.
We're starting a growing collection of that, but you learn about how these different various mics change the way her voice sounds. It's the same voice.
Right.
But you rock through a couple different mics. You go, well, let's pick the best mic for her voice, listening through it on our headphones, playing it back. And that's really cool because now you can see on our videos we've done with her, you could see how the recording was done. You see the mic choices we have.
Mhm.
You see where the mic was relative to her, the instruments and so on, right? So you can kind of gauge better why it sounds like it does, if you think about it. And you don't get to see that in most recordings. It's secret sauce. It's hidden. you
Well,
know?
sometimes they put it in like CD cases. They have pictures of the recordings and stuff.
But it's a still.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you get somewhat of an
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Like if it's just like a room with like just stuff in it that they put blankets over, it's like, oh, that's why it sounds like it's in like just a random room or
Well,
something.
I'll give you an example. Like I remember, we all grew up listening to Ricky Lee Jones because I was playing it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Her first album was my favorite, and still is, and but you sit there listening to that, and if you got large enough speakers, you'll notice on some of the tracks you hear this thumping sound coming out of nowhere, and you're not really sure what the hell it is. You think, well, maybe somebody's kicking the mic stand somewhere or something. You don't know what it is because you were never there at the studio, right? And obviously they let it go, whatever it was. Maybe they didn't hear it on their monitors. I don't know. It was in 20 to 30 hertz, so you got to have some bigger speakers, otherwise you don't notice it, right?
Right.
Anyway, so one time Ricky Lee came to Buffalo, played live in a small place, and I'm like, I gotta go. Went to see her with another couple, right? The four of us went to see her, and I was probably 15 feet away from her, And so got full eyes. She's at the piano playing. She tends to like to face away from the audience because she's kind of shy in nature.
Mm.
But anyway, neither here nor there. These are things I never knew,
Right.
Because I never saw her live, right? Well, one track she was playing, and she's short, very short, short gal. She's wearing these like 2-inch wood clogs.
Mm.
So on one track, she's playing the piano and she's hammering the clog on the floor, tapping, creating her own tempo with her foot.
Mm.
I'm like, that's what I was hearing. She was hitting probably on a wood floor or whatever floor. The mic stand to the mic's picking that up, and that was in her album, final recording, right? But again, I didn't know what the hell that was. I don't know if it was somebody whacking the side of a drum in the back, someone bored in the band while she was singing. I don't know, but it was kind of cool to see it because now I'm like, that's what it was. And it's things like that with audiophiles like us, I guess, get off on where actually you can actually see what the hell is going on there. It's
Yeah.
neat. It's neat.
Well-
It's really neat. It's interesting too.
Since I've heard this before from you, I knew exactly what it was when I heard the exact same thing in a different album, the Eric Clapton Unplugged album.
Yeah.
One of the tracks, like 5 seconds in, you just hear this boo, boo, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's must have been what it is. Because it's
Probably.
recorded live on a stage, so
Yeah, right. Yeah, someone's hitting something or tapping something,
yeah.
you know, and they're wearing big shoes,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, they don't necessarily have to be big shoes. Just like they're
Yeah.
just close to a mic.
Well, especially on a stage, like a
Yeah.
stage isn't really solid.
Yeah, well,
so you tap on
depending.
a stage, a stand will probably pick that up feet away.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, but it's cool. So that's what we're trying to do with, you know, I mean, if you haven't done it yet, make sure check out Sam Godd's videos that we've got a few weeks back, and you could see how they were made. You know, in fact, I think they even talk about it in the last one we did, where she
Yes,
talks
last
about
week.
being here. Yeah, and they show some of the setup. So we're going to be doing more of that. So that's going to be cool because everyone will be able to see why things sound like what they sound like right from the chain, right from the recording side of it.
Mhm.
You know, in fact, we could probably do some instructional videos or showing people how when you get up into a microphone, when you stick a mic in a guitar, what the hell it sounds like versus in front of it or to the sides, right?
Mhm.
And it just gives people a more perspective. When they hear these sounds, they understand why they're hearing what they're hearing and how it's interacting with their playback system. So it's going to be kind of fun to go through that because no one does that I'm aware of.
Well, I guess that's it from the recording side. But from
Yeah.
the playback side, which we're on, we need to take what was recorded and then make it sound natural. You know,
Yeah,
like real.
that's a trick.
And that's a whole different thing.
That's a very difficult thing to do. If you want resolution, really, really high resolution, without those annoying sounds getting more annoying, that is a tightrope you walk with that. With all the gear, with everything, the transducers and the cabling and everything, you know, because all those little disturbances add up in a system to more annoyance rather than no annoyance on the recordings from the recording.
Yeah, I guess that is the problem. It's not just the headphones.
Yeah,
You
no.
got every part of the chain matters.
Yeah.
So I guess, and on the recording side, same thing.
Yeah,
So
right.
There's a lot of
Oh
steps.
yeah, I mean what we're seeing.
so to
is-
get everything
yeah,
right
right.
is hard,
very difficult.
and it needs to start with the mic.
Yeah,
You know,
it starts at the microphone.
all the way
Yeah.
forward.
And the talent involved there and what they're used to hearing and laying down.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, the easy way out of this, I think, is to muffle everything, right? To keep things tame. You know what I mean? That would be the easy way. Pick things that are tonally pleasing, that don't go overboard, but that limits resolution. You're only going to get so much information out of a recording that does that, you know. But that would be the easier way out, is just relax everything. Same with the playback. A lot of people say they don't want a bright system. I get that a lot. You know, I want to make sure that this thing isn't bright. And I think where that comes from is in past stuff they purchased, it tends to go that way. Their amp selection, whatever, they just
Yeah, well, you
No one ever
you
showed
keep
them.
wanting more and more and more, and it just keeps getting
it goes overboard.
too much.
Yeah. Or they just haven't gone outside their comfort zone in terms of price. I see that too. Everyone stays within a certain comfort zone, you know. I mean, I remember when I thought about spending $50 or $100 on a camera lens, that was ridiculous. Until I bought my first $2,500 camera lens and saw the difference, right?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, well, there's something to this. I get it. All right, I get it. I don't want to buy too many of those, but I'm just saying, you know, there are advantages, especially if you enjoy every day
Well, yeah.
of your life.
Yeah.
You know, you're really into that. There's advantages to every once in a while just going outside your comfort zone and seeing what you can do.
Well, I guess at least trying something that's
Totally.
like that you normally wouldn't try.
Yeah, that's life. So anyway, we better wrap this up because as usual we're yakking on and on about stuff that probably no one will be at the end of this video to watch.
7 people left.
Yeah, there's 7 people left. Anyway, take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe so that you know what's coming next.